Well, hi besties, K-pop seems to be falling apart and the industry is in shambles, so what better time for me to post some hard-to-swallow pills? I don't wanna offend anybody and I'm just expressing my thoughts, so you're always free to disagree and let me know why down in the comments so we can have a proper discussion. Now without further ado, let's begin with the hard-to-swallow pills. Bang PD is not a saint either. I think we can all agree that Min Hee-jin is a trashy person. From her weird obsession with youth and her questionable choices to her narcissistic and unprofessional behavior in dealing with this recent scandal, she has shown she's definitely a problematic person. But you shouldn't glorify Bang PD just to prove you stand against her. She's not a good person, but HYBE is a shady business and Bang PD isn't good either. It's funny how you hold Hee-jin accountable for sexualizing the idols she has worked with, but you don't say anything about Bang PD doing the same. For example, when BTS members first debuted, the Maknae line was underage, and in both the music videos and the live stages they had parts of the choreo in which they lifted their shirts up and exposed their abs. Not to mention all the shady things Bang PD has done before becoming a CEO. I'm not gonna go into detail, but you can look up all the messed up things he's been involved in. Then let's not forget the sexualization around Les Seraphim. From their inappropriate floor choreo in Fearless MV to their explicit dance moves in Smart. And I know that they are under a different sub-label, but Bang PD was personally responsible of crafting the group, and you would think he had some kind of say in what choreos they should and shouldn't perform. He's not a saint, he's money hungry, he's fame hungry, just like Min Hee-jin and most CEOs. I'm not saying he's worse than her, I'm just saying that both should be held accountable for the shitty things they've done. No group should have choreo that they can't sing along to. As much as intense choreo looks cool and makes a performance more entertaining, every time someone excuses poor live singing with difficult choreography, I find myself thinking that the choreo should have never been that difficult in the first place if the idols can't sing along to that. For example, a group like 80s has very intense choreo, but they are pretty good at live singing. But there are other groups who cannot keep up with hard choreos and always end up sounding messy. If a group cannot keep up but they still wanna flex their dancing skills, I think they should just insert a cool dance break in the choreography and call it a day. I don't give a fuck about seeing crazy spins and somersaults if you can't hold a note. So hard choreo shouldn't be an excuse for poor vocal executions when companies could simply give their artists choreographies they can sing along to. Stop excusing idols for things that you wouldn't excuse normal workers for. Of course, idols are human beings and they can make mistakes and have a bad day, but I wish you all remembered that being an idol is a job, and in a normal job you can't always find excuses to justify your mistakes and your lack of improvement. For example, stans always say how idols can definitely have rough days and so we should never criticize their attitude because we don't know what they are going through, and I agree, but only to an extent. If an idol happens to have a bad day and they look distant and closed off, we definitely shouldn't criticize them because they are humans too. But if an idol always looks uninterested when talking to fans, we should be able to call them out for it. Because at a normal job, if you don't treat the customer right, you will definitely be called out by your boss. Another example is idols giving poor performances. Every idol can give a poor performance in their career. It happens. Maybe they are sick, maybe they are tired. It's not a big deal. But idols that always look lazy or that constantly show lacking skills can't be excused. Because again, if I always slack off at my job, I'm just gonna get fired. And it's so pathetic when stans defend their idols' weak skills by saying things like, "I'd like to see you try dancing and singing at the same time." Well, no bestie, that is not my job. I haven't been training for years to be able to do that. But they have, and they get paid for it. The least they can do is improve. So in conclusion, of course we should never forget that idols are human beings, but we shouldn't forget that being an idol is a job either. And you can't just excuse everything they do, because when it comes to any type of job, you either take it seriously or you face the consequences, and the idol job is no different. Baby Monster, don't overperform, you're just used to mediocre stages. I'm sorry, what the hell is going on in K-pop? We've reached the point where we criticize idols for being too charismatic on stage. I never thought I'd see this day coming. Baby Monster are now performing with a live band at music shows and they're putting on quite the show. But of course people had something negative to say. Things like, why are they treating Inkigayo as if it was Coachella? They are doing too much. This is not how you perform at a music show. And oh my god, this is pissing me off. What the hell do y'all want? If a group has lacking charisma, you criticize them. But if a group shows great charisma, you criticize them too. I think some of you are just too used to mediocre live stages that you're somehow trying to drag Baby Monster for giving excellent performances. I don't know, but something tells me you feel threatened by them. Maybe because you know your faves wouldn't be able to pull off such a captivating performance. But it's not Baby Monster's fault if your faves are boring to watch. Leave the girls alone and don't be ridiculous. You'll always mistake Wonyoung going viral for the company giving her special treatment. Pretty self-explanatory. Wonyoung has been locked in Starship's basement for a year, having little to no solo schedule aside from her fashion-related events, and y'all still somehow found a way to make it seem as if Starship is favoring her. This is getting so fucking tiring and y'all sound like a broken record. The thing is, it's not Starship pushing Wonyoung, it's Wonyoung going viral for every little thing. That's why some of you think she gets a lot of exposure. But it's not the company giving her this exposure. It's just her being an it girl and being one of the most talked about idols in K-pop. That's it. No favoritism. Just Wonyoung being the it girl she is. People that want every IVE title track to be Love Dive 2.0 seriously need to shut the fuck up. It's no secret that a lot of people's favorite dive song is Love Dive, and I always hear many stans wishing for every upcoming comeback to be a Love Dive 2.0. I don't think it's a problem to have a favorite song and wishing the group would do something similar in the future, but some of you are taking it too far and it almost seems like you don't like any other IVE song besides Love Dive. Otherwise you'd be happy about whatever they go for, regardless of it sounding like Love Dive or not. And this isn't even just people saying they didn't like a title track. That's okay, but saying you were disappointed because it was not like Love Dive just pisses me off. If you like Love Dive so much, then go listen to it on repeat and stop ruining the fun for everyone else. Producers are the ones who are actually responsible for poor line distribution, not companies. Every time a member is given a little amount of lines, everybody instantly jumps on the company and accuses them of mistreating the member. But the truth is that the company most likely doesn't even have that much of a say in line distribution. It's up to the music producer to decide who sings which part. The distribution happens accordingly to each member's skills and how they fit each specific part of the song. I promise you it's not the company trying to sabotage your faves and plotting against them to make them fail. It's just the producer that thinks they don't suit that specific part enough to be assigned to it. You all need to stop sending trucks in front of companies. It's the most pathetic thing ever. I'm sorry, but why do you think companies would give a fuck about your little truck? They're just going to ignore it. Even if you might have a point and your request to the company is more than reasonable, they won't bother doing anything just because you send a truck in front of the building. That's just gonna annoy the fuck out of the company. It's much more effective to mass email the agency or actively boycott a comeback if you want to send a message. Not to mention most of the reasons you all send trucks are stupid as hell. Like for example, complaining about a member having bad outfits, or things like that. Why do you think they are gonna give a damn about that? Please, for the love of God, just save money instead of wasting them on this useless thing. Okay besties, these were some of my hard-to-swallow pills that I think every K-pop stan should hear. Let me know some of your hard-to-swallow pills as well, and feel free to tell me your thoughts down below. With that being said, thank you for watching and see you in the next video.